All right, guys, welcome back to Crossman Productions. Happy Tuesday morning. I know this is a little bit earlier than we normally do the show, but I am super excited about today's show. You guys know that, for the last couple of months, I've been talking about the show Vindication. We had our friends Venus Monique and Cameron Arnett, and our friends Olivia Disney and Buddy Campbell made an appearance on the show. As a matter of fact, I'm talking to Olivia about coming back on so that we could talk about her character and some of the things that she did to our friend Buddy on that show. So we're gonna talk about that. But I'm really excited because today I have the director and producer of Vindication. This show. It's filmed here in Texas, in Burleson, and it's just an amazing show. It's whenever you think about Christian shows, I know growing up they used to be really cheesy, but now it seems like Hollywood is putting in well, not just Hollywood, but a lot of independent filmmakers are now starting to put a lot of money and time and effort into making really good shows. And this guy that I'm going to talk to today has done an amazing job with doing that with the show Vindication. So without further ado, I'm bringing on our friend Jarod of Flattery. What's up, brother?
Hey, how's it going, man?
It's going great, man. I'm excited about having you on the show, man. Thank you so much for being on today.
Yeah, no, this will be fun. I enjoy talking about the show, so you probably won't have any problems getting stuff out of me.
Yeah. So, all right. So, I've been talking for a couple of months about this show, and I think it's an amazing show. Like I said, we've had a couple of people on from the show. We've had Venus on. We've had Cameron. Actually, we've had Cameron for two different things. Cameron Arnett, super cool guy. We're talking to Todd Terry about being on the show. We're trying to work that out. And then of course our friends Olivia and Buddy was on the show. We're talking about that. We're going to talk to Olivia about one of the episodes that in which she did our friend Buddy on that episode. So, and I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
So, let's introduce yourself and kind of let our audience know where were you born and raised, and what was life like for Jarod growing up?
Okay, yeah. So I'm 41 years old. I'm a father of 5 kids. I've been married for 20 years this year. I grew up in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. That's where I'm still at now. Been away a couple times to other places in my lifetime, but not for long. This is home and where I have always been. When I graduated high school, I went immediately into the workforce. Never went to any secondary college, any of that type of stuff. Worked in IT for about 15 years, and that provided for my family as it was growing and that sort of thing. But on the side, through my church, we would do different film stuff. It started off with just filming live youth events and activities and editing it together so that members of the church could see that. And then as technology progressed, I kind of got the itch to do some more narrative work. We started with some music videos, did a documentary. Our church did a film kind of in the mold of what the Kendrick brothers at Sherwood have done, for people that are familiar with that, with
Right.
Facing the Giants and Courageous and Wardroom and those things. So anyway, and out of those projects, we ventured more into the professional field and did this short film called Vindication. And so that has been my focus, ministry, career work for the last several years on this series. It has kind of taken off. As far as growing up for me, I also grew up in a family of 5. A family of 5 kids, 7 total. I was the oldest brother in that family. The oldest kid in the family. So I'm kind of used to the big family thing. Technology and film stuff was something I was always interested in as a kid. It was fun, but I just never put it together that like, hey, you could possibly have a career in this. To me, it was just always something I did on the side. So I'm not one of those people that had a dream of making a TV series or making a movie or any of that sort of stuff. It really never was. It was just something to do on the side that was kind of fun.
Right.
And so people, oh man, are you living the dream, getting to make a series? And it goes out and like, well, I like it. It's fun. It was never my dream. My dream was to have kids, have a wife, have a family, do that thing. So that's kind of a little background on what brought me to where I'm at now.
Cool. So, you talk about originally, Vindication was a short film. So from my understanding, somebody told me that the pilot was the film, was the short film. So how did that progress into being an actual television series?
Sure. Yeah. So we created this short film called Vindication. Originally, we thought it'd be about 12 to 15 minutes. It ended up being 26 minutes. And so we created this thing and then put it for about a year in film festivals. Some festivals accepted it and it won top prize. Other festivals rejected it altogether. So it was kind of hard to get a grip of, well, we think we made something pretty good, but we're getting these mixed results. And one of the very last film festivals I was scheduled to be a part of was up in New Jersey. I didn't get to attend it. I heard it was kind of a poorly attended. I think the festival may have folded after that year. But it did win the top prize, at least in the short film category, maybe for the whole festival. And there was a distribution company who was there and saw it, and they reached out to me and said, like, hey, what are your distribution plans for this show? We really, enjoyed it. And our plan at that point was, once you finish the festival circuit, just to put it on YouTube or Facebook or wherever. And so this other opportunity came about, and it wasn't really about money. It was like, well, because they weren't offering any money for it. It was just like, if we can get some deals, then maybe you'll see some residuals, But for us, it's like, if we put this on YouTube or Facebook, people will probably watch it for a weekend and then it'll fade off into, just get buried in the noise, and that'll be it. At least with this distribution company, they'll be making an effort to get it out there. And that was our goal, is for it to reach more eyeballs and reach more people. So we went ahead and went with that route, didn't put it on YouTube or anything yet. And a few months later, they came back and said, hey, we're getting a really good response from this show. Like, people are picking it up and it's getting deals and things. So would you be interested in making another one of these? And so for me at the time, it's like, well, the story's over. Like, our main character, he got vindicated and it's over. And like, no, what about the detective? Could he have another case? And so we got started on what we called Vindication 2 at the time. It was just 1 and 2, another film about 28, 30 minutes. And I used my personal Christian testimony kind of as a framework for what the story would be in episode 2. Obviously with some artistic liberties and things changed in it, but that was kind of the, just the foundation or the framework for the storyline, thinking, hey, this probably might be the last thing I ever do. And, but the story was much the same after we made that one. Then it was like, hey, what do you think about making a couple more of these? Things are still going well. And that it just kind of snowballed into the series, so that season 1, honestly, if you go back and watch it, every episode we thought might be the last one. It's not until episode 3 that we introduce maybe some recurring storylines, some recurring characters with our lead detective, his wife, his daughter, some of his coworkers, and those sort of things, just because we didn't know. And so we went and did episode 5 and like, hey, this may be the last one, so let's always wrap everything up. And that's why in season 1, a lot of the episodes are self-contained. You watch an episode and there's a little bit that may want to keep you watching, but that's what it is. And we did that through the whole first season until it was finished, and then put it out. Now when season 2 came about, we got the green light for the whole season. So we now got the opportunity to tell a bigger story through 10 episodes.
Wow. And you could tell a big difference from season 1 into season 2. What was the biggest difference for you, or the biggest event to happen from season 1 to season 2 that made it so the storyline changed and it seems like it became a lot more popular in season 2?
Yeah, the biggest change, well, I mean, it's having the foresight of knowing, hey, we're going to get to tell 10 episodes. So we're going to set up stuff in the first episode that's not going to pay off until the 9th one. So being able to see that bigger picture of what's going to happen. That was really, I think, the biggest change. And the reason for me was I was looking at what makes shows popular, what gets people invested in certain shows. And to me, it was those that they get invested in characters and they want to grow with those characters, see them go through character arcs, not just, oh, you tricked me with a good episode, or, oh, I didn't see that coming, and there are shows that have been popular with that. Don't get me wrong. But I just felt like the ones that people buy t-shirts for, the ones that people, change their Facebook banner to that show that they're passionate about are the ones that have those characters and storylines. So I'm like, if we get a chance to do a second season, then I want to go that route, try to tell a story that people are invested in, as opposed to season one that was just, we wanted a bunch of good short stories that would grab people for 30 minutes.
Right. And I can see the difference too. When you went to season one, you basically it was pretty much tailored around Detective Travis, and the people he was running into. I think that, going into season two, it started expanding and becoming more of a storyline around the group, because we brought in Detective Chris Tanner, and then he brought in Cameron Arnett's character, Anthony. I mean, you started introducing new characters, and I think that by introducing the new characters and growing that storyline, man, you can see a huge difference between season one and two. And then we're going to talk about the end of season two going into season three. So,
I will say this about the difference between season one and two. It's not universal that everyone says, oh, I love what you did in season two. There are people that still say season one was my favorite. I wish you would do more of those type of stories again.
Oh, really?
It really is. There's different people that have different preferences, I guess, on storytelling. Right. So, I hear that and I don't take offense. They're like, oh, I thought season one was better than season two. I'm like, well, I worked on both of them, so I'm not,
right.
It's not that was one team and this is another, and I saw someone even that season three, I really love season one and two. Season three, I didn't like as much. And it's like, well, okay, I'm still taking the compliment that you like the first two. Right. I personally think season three, just as far as storytelling and stuff, really moved forward, but everyone has their different opinions.
And, that's what I was telling Venus. And some of the other people I've talked to, is that this show I think has progressed, and from each season just got better for me. I saw season one. Season one was great. It kind of introduced the core characters of Detective Travis and his family. You kind of brought Chris in and TC Stallings. And then you got into season two, and I think season two had more of a storyline. Yeah, and I think that's what kind of gripped for me as an audience. It kind of gripped me. What got me was, going from season two into season three. So the little cliffhanger that you had, as season, for season two going into season three, it made me really anticipate what was going to happen for season three. So, it was funny because after season three, I was talking to Venus, and Cameron. And of course, there was a big secret, going into season three. Let me ask you about that too. When you have a show that's, becoming that popular, and you have, a cliffhanger at the end of the show, how do you keep the secret?
Yeah, that was tricky. And especially for us, we had to keep it for 2 years. And that wasn't what one of our distribution partners, when we finished the series, turned it into him, said they wanted to sit on it for 9 months. Wow. So you had this hang over the edge cliffhanger, and then it's like, oh, we want to hold that for 9 more months. If you'll even look at the poster and the artwork for season 3, we had to keep the secret on that poster, of who is and who isn't alive and those sort of things. So characters were left off intentionally, just so that when the poster came out, it didn't go, oh, well, there they are, that sort of thing. So, we had to ask everyone on season 1, like, hey, anything you're doing, post about it, share about it. We just want to get word out there. On season 2, it was a little more locked down, but season 3, big time, was like, hey, Nobody and that was, it's tough because you want people to be talking about the show so that there's energy and excitement, but there's too much of a chance of someone showing up as an extra for one scene and they take a selfie of themselves, but behind them in the background is the biggest spoiler for that cliffhanger. So that's why it was like, hey, we're not going to post. And there are even a couple of times that people didn't pay attention to that, and we see posts show up and we're like, hey, you got to take that down, that has a huge spoiler in it, like don't post that. So anyway, I think for the most part we kept the secret safe. I didn't see any threads show up of people that all figured it out, so that was good, and so it worked.
So we had two main characters that was missing from the poster. I'm gonna show the poster real quick.
Sure.
So here's a poster. When we were I didn't even notice it because I saw the post. I think that Olivia posted it, and I saw it, and it didn't even occur to me that she was going to be on the show. I saw her post it on her site, and then I was talking to Venus, and it didn't even occur to me that Venus wasn't even on it until she said something, and I looked, and I said, "Wait a minute, Venus and Anthony was missing off the poster," and then I realized that Olivia is on the poster. Yeah, so. Yeah, once I saw the poster, I was like, "Oh, now it makes you really wonder who was going to be, on that, in the body bag at the end of season 2."
Yeah, and I can tell you a couple things about that. For one, obviously, we did that on purpose, because we wanted to do a season 3, and we felt if we give all the audience members a very nice, satisfying conclusion, wrap up vindication at the end of season 2, then there's not that hunger and energy for, hey, I need more. And it's really fans who can help keep the show going, because the people who greenlight these things, they pay attention to it, or are there reviews on IMDb? What are people saying there? What's happening on social media? What do the views look like? Are people still asking about it? So we wanted the fans in our corner that they're like, I have to have the next episode, or I have to have the next season. So it's intentional. But I will say this, when we shot the end of season 2, we did not know 100% who was going to be in the body bag should we continue on. Yeah. So it was not like, okay, we know who it's going to be, let's do it. It was more like, let's leave it open-ended and let's leave multiple options of who it could possibly be that's dead there in the warehouse.
Wow. And so, and that's the thing too, is, going into season 3, first of all, in season 2, what surprised me is, I think it was the second to last episode when Detective Travis was going to pitch his I guess he was going up for chief of police, and he was going to talk about that, and I saw Buddy Campbell as one of the
city council members.
Yeah, city council. And first I saw Buddy, I was like, is that Buddy Campbell? Buddy Campbell's on vindication? So the first thing I did is I text Buddy. I'm like, did I just see you on vindication? So I didn't expect to see him on there. And then that episode I think that was great. I love that episode. And then going into into the episode with the surprise. And then season 3, I think the writing and the whole storyline and everything that you guys did in season 3, I think to me it was the best season of all, of the 3. I'm really excited about season 4.
Yeah, hopefully we're saying the same thing. We've already filmed 4 episodes of it, which is really neat. In fact, before season 3 was released, we had already filmed 4 episodes of season 4. So sometimes I get them backwards. I've emailed people and posted something about like, oh, can't wait to watch season 4. And it's like, Jarod, season 3 is the one that's coming out, not, so you got multiple things. I'm like, oh yeah, whoops, sorry. So anyway, but yeah, we've got it. And, hopefully it's the same thing that, wow, I love season 3, but man, season 4 just, amped it up again. It does get harder though as you go along, because some of the storytelling things that you can do, you can't just go back and redo them again. I mean,
Right.
there are two emotional moments in seasons 1 and 2 that a lot of people point to that, oh man, I started crying and that was so
Right.
powerful. Once you get to a season 4 and later, it's harder you don't want to repeat the same thing, but it's harder
Right.
to get that same emotion. What we want to hang on to is that people enjoy the characters, and that the characters are constantly going through new things without it being overboard. You don't want the same person to be kidnapped 3 or 4 different times and
Right.
be estranged again, and those sort of thing where it's tough. And a lot of successful shows that are out there, you'll have some that, man, the first episode, the pilot is so good, and even that first season, then you get to season 2 and 3, and they kind of start
Right.
losing steam, and you're like, do I want to keep watching because you made it that far, but then they get even worse and they go off and your favorite characters aren't there and those sort of things. So Vindication, I kind of feel like we've flipped that the other side. Our first episodes were just meant to be standalone short films, lower budget, that sort of thing, a slow burn. But then you get to season 2 and it picks it up, and season 3 picks it up, and it's kind of the inverse of what happens with a lot of shows, where their best stuff is up front and then they lose steam, and ours is a slow burn that I think picks up energy as it goes along.
And I think what helps too with what you've been doing is the introduction of the new characters.
Mm-hmm.
As the seasons went along, you started introducing new characters and developing those characters. And I think that as an audience member, you start getting attached to the new characters.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you guys brought in Chris, and her story, and then you guys brought in Cameron Arnett, and kind of what his character was going through, and then Anthony, and it was just even the guy, the chief of police.
Yeah.
Okay.
Steve Mulcate's Chief Tomlinson.
Yeah. I mean, then you started having, the bad guy, the guy that you're, so I thought it was, the way you guys did it was awesome. So, now I know that like between season 1 and season 2, you brought in some new writers. Is that right?
So I've written about 75% of the episodes.
Okay.
And then we have had writers. Alan Tregoning is one. He's written about 25%. I guess that adds up to 100. And then I think 3 other writers have come in for spot episodes at different points that we have had. So it's that's kind of the makeup of it, of our writing.
Cool. So let me ask you this, because the show is it's successful. It's a very successful show. What's some of the obstacles that you had to kind of overcome, during that process?
Obstacles. Well, obviously this is an independent show. It's not a secret that it's lower budget than most anything else that you see on television. But at the same time, we're always wanting to progress. We want bigger scenes. We want bigger things to happen. We want bigger cast members, and when it started out as just a short film here in Texas, we had lots of talent we could pull from. Now that we've done 32 episodes, it's like all the top tier people in the area or around we've used a lot of them. We've used nearly 300 cast members throughout, and I don't really want to recycle characters or cast members, that sort of thing. So we've used a lot of people. So you've got, and during that time from when we started to now, inflation, what we used to be able to fly a person into town for is now 3 times as much. And to feed the crew is 3 times as much, and all those things. So it's just that money battle with wanting to keep things moving forward. And some people are like, oh, just go back to how you did season 1, 2 people sitting there having an interrogation. And it's kind of like, I don't know if Parks is gonna accept that if we go back to season 1 format for season 4. He's gonna be like, what happened to my show? So so I don't know that we can dial it back for budgetary reasons. So we have to get creative and how we do those things.
Cool. So what's the biggest lesson that you've learned through this whole thing?
Oh man, come on. I got like 100 different lessons. So the biggest, wow. That's, I don't know that I could narrow it. Could you give me something besides biggest? Maybe what type of something more specific, and then I could pick one.
Is there a specific thing that you like walked away, from this that you take going forward?
I'm just gonna have to pick something random. I won't say that it's the biggest. Okay.
Okay.
A lesson I've learned when you deal with people, filmmaking is a collaborative art form. It's not just one person sitting at a desk with a keyboard. That's tons of people involved, and you have to know how to. Different people have different needs. They have different ways of communicating, and so you have to learn that it's not just a one size fits all of how you interact with people. Whether it's a crew member, whether it's a executive, whether it's a cast member, it's just everyone. You kind of have to get a feel for how you deal with them to keep it cohesive, to keep it together, to keep everything going strong. I mean, for us to have filmed for, I think, around 135 days now, and those are spread out, but 135 days, and those aren't a show up, relax. I mean, those are hard days where you've got to get 16 hours of work done in 12 hours, to do that 135 times. But I hear very often from people who work with us go, man, this is one of the most relaxed, most organized, most, cohesive groups that I've ever been a part with. Apparently in the film industry, it can be stressful. People's tempers can flare, voices get and all this. And ours, even though we still have hey, we got to get this done. This is really hard. We have a nice cohesive group. And I think from that back to the lesson and the question you said, it's just being able to deal with each person, where they're at, who they are, how they respond. And that can help keep it together.
Right. That's the other thing too, that I really like about the show. And you talk about the talent that you've had on it. Todd Terry, he comes from a big background of, some of the projects he's worked on. You have TC Stallings. We were talking about the Kendricks brothers. TC Stallings comes from, working with them with Courageous. Cameron Arnett, he started, he told me his first show was Miami Vice, the original, series. So you've had some, really good talent that's been on the show.
It's a huge compliment to me. I take it as a compliment when they are willing to come on and be a part of it. Because like you said, they do really, really big stuff. And honestly, every time we have a new script or new season, I'm nervous to call that they're going to say this show's too small for where I'm at in my career. But instead they're like, Jarod, we love what you're doing. How can I help? And so that's really, really special. Karen Abercrombie in season 3, she was the shopping cart lady that Trey's character found when he went to Oak Cliff looking for Anthony, if you remember her. She had I think either just before or just after had worked on a Marvel film, Oh, wow. And so to have her come in and be a part of it was really neat. And she was the lead in War Room. She's well known for that as well. But there are also new people finding her from this. I've had people, man, who was that lady? She was really good. And I'm like, you don't know Karen Abercrombie? So but it really is just a huge compliment when people are willing to come be a part of the show and jump in there in different spots.
Yeah. And then, that's another thing you brought up too, is, I've been, talking to different groups of like communities in different states of actors and producers and directors. There's a big one out in Florida that I talked to. There's a big one out in Arkansas where Olivia Disney and the group that her and Buddy's from, with James Stokes and Jason Pitts, Will Reed. There's a whole group out there of actors who's worked together. Mm-hmm. I noticed that that's starting to happen more here in Dallas as well. Are you seeing that as well? That Dallas is starting to gather its own community.
Yeah. So The Chosen shoots in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Pretty big show. Vindication shoots here. There was a show called Washington's Armor that shot in this area. There's one called Breaking Strongholds. It's down in Houston. So there are a handful of shows though that are happening in this area, and they're the ones that keep going. It's not just pop up, do a movie, and disappear. So once you keep going, you kind of overlap and have those. And there may be some Vindication people you see in season 4 of The Chosen, even. So So there's So it certainly happens. And I mean, I've seen films that I'll go watch a film and I'm like, hey, there's 4 different people from Vindication in that. You
Right.
wonder, did they see them from Vindication, or is it just coincidence? And how does that work? But yeah, definitely happening, because when you have someone that's recognizable to audiences and familiar, it helps the show, because they're, again, familiar with that and know the person. Oh, I like this person, I'm probably going to like this show that they're in.
Right. So let me ask you, if somebody is trying to get into doing, a film here, or just doing film period, what's the biggest piece of advice you would give them?
Which side of the camera?
Um, let's say director of producing their own
Okay.
show.
Yeah. Based on my experiences, the advice I give them is start doing stuff. Don't talk about it.
Right.
That's the big problem. A lot of people want to get into it. I want to do that, but I just need $1 million. Well, no, hold on. Pick up your phone and go make something and learn from it. Show it to people. If everyone thinks it's junk, then you either try again or realize maybe this isn't for me, But if you do something and people are glued to it, and you realize, okay, maybe I've got something here, then that's what you do, and then go do another one. I think anyone who wants to get into it, but they want to make an 1.5-hour film, it's like, no, you need to go make a 1-minute film, and learn the basics of it. Another thing is when you watch things, when you're watching successful, whether it's a series or a film, don't watch it for entertainment value, but watch it for learning. Turn off the sound and see what type of camera shots they're using. How fast are the edits happening? What angles do they, those sort of things. Learn from watching things that have been successful, as opposed to just plopping down on the couch and vegging and letting it, do all the work. Like, you got to pay attention to it. And I think that's a great way that you can learn. I'm still doing that right now as I'm working on some season 4 scripts. I'm going out and kind of the same way, hitting the mute, but looking at some things to see, okay, what type of locations are they using? What type of, action sequences are there, just to get fresh ideas, new ideas of, oh, hey, we haven't done that yet. So even at this step, now I will say that I don't watch any crime dramas. Just because I don't want to watch something and 6 months later I'm writing a script and have this great idea and forget that I had watched it on another show, right? So I don't watch any of them that way. Anything I come up with, I can say, hey, this was an original idea, because I don't watch any of those. But just for ideas, whether it's watching a trailer or just a snippet of something, can help you learn, to help you keep moving and come up with fresh ideas.
Cool. You brought up a good point too. So I'm going to tell you 2 things. So last show I just had my friend Sean Proslacker on, who just did his second film, and he was kind of kicking himself about things that he could have done better for the film. And I told him exactly what you said too. A lot of people talk about doing film, about getting out there and doing it, but very few actually get out and do it.
Oh, yeah.
And, I told him that the more that you do it, the more you're in there, the better that, and the better quality and better storyline, whatever you could come up with. But the first thing is actually getting out there doing it. Mm-hmm. The second thing that you brought up that I found interesting too is I talked to a friend of mine who directed a movie called Seven Roses. And his name is Bobby Washington. He said the same thing. He started doing film, and then he started doing the same thing where he would turn off the volume and just watch the camera shots. And then he would turn off the, stop the video part of it and just listen to the audio and just listen how the sound. Each time he would look at different aspects of a film. Sometimes he would look at just the lighting, how they were lighting things. So that each of his films, he would incorporate the things that he had learned by doing that. And so you brought up a good point. People have the storyline and they're trying to create this film, but there's so much more involved in it. And to get better at your craft, you gotta stop looking at it as a film and look at it as individual parts. And I could tell from season 1 to season 3, I could tell the difference, of how the quality of the show has been. I could tell that you've been doing that for, and like I said, I'm excited because each season has gotten better. I'm excited about season 4. Of what you guys are about to do with season 4. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah, we got. I mean, with season 4, I almost there were a couple of times during our shoots I felt like maybe we stretched a little too far. Like our season 1, our scripts we tried to go for about 24, 25 pages.
right,
In season 2, we might have a script that got to 30 pages. Maybe 131 was the long one. Like every script in season 4 was like 32, 33 pages, and it was more complex stuff. So
right,
we're still shooting it in the same amount of time as we back to season 1. I mean, we're still using the
right,
same amount of time. So it was really moving fast. And for a couple of actors, I felt bad because, man, they were, as soon as the scene's done, they're having to run to their script and memorize 2 pages for the next scene,
wow,
and for the production, it's like, well, the scene takes place in the same spot. It's easy for us. All the lights are in place, cameras are set, we're ready to go. But for the actors now having to
right,
immediately flip gears and go to a whole nother scene, and kind of got like, okay, this may have pushed a little far, and
right.
like the first episode right now is 35, close to
Oh,
36 minutes, which that was like our longest episode over the
right,
first 2 seasons, and that's just the first one now. So anyway, all that to say, we're still pushing. It's not going to be
right.
where we just sit back and throw softballs and do some easy stuff. We're still pushing to make it the best and the strongest.
Cool. So what's the plan after this? Going from here, do you have plans of doing other shows as well, or what's
I feel like I've learned a lot over now going into 4 seasons.
right,
And, I'm not a person actually that watches crime dramas. I never even set
right,
out to make a crime drama. Remember, this was just a short film, it was like, we're just going to
right,
make a little, next thing you know, I've done 36 episodes of a crime drama. So I kind of sat back and said, looking at everything that I have learned in this process, if I could start over at day 1, page 1, and do something I actually wanted to do, something I'm passionate about, tell that storylines in the series format, based on, man, what do audiences respond to? What did Parks talk about that he loved so
right,
much, and what things did people not like? What caused people to turn off the show, or what didn't work? Just all of that information and knowledge and experience, and now start over fresh and something new and go from there. So I've kind of started developing, kind of talking to some people, getting a script together for what would be a new series based on the things in Vindication that have done well, that have gotten us to
right,
this point. And then it's just a matter of obviously somebody, a company, whoever,
right,
believing in what we're going to do and saying, yeah, let's take a risk and let's go do this thing and see if it works. But I would love to see that happen. At the same time, Vindication seems to just pick up more and more steam every season we get. It's not,
right,
dying off and we're trying to keep it on life support. Instead, it's picking up more energy. So I
right,
don't know if I could get away from it if I wanted to, because it just keeps growing. So, and I'll, continue it. My deal with Vindication is like, as long as I can keep telling new stories, we're not
right,
recycling stuff, it doesn't go stale, and that I still believe our best stories to be told are still ahead instead of already
right,
done. When you get, as long as I still feel that, then I want to keep going. I don't ever want to do like one season too many where it just like, we've all seen
right,
movies, right? The
right,
old Superman movies in the 80s. First 2 were like so good. Once you got to like Superman 4, it was just like, oh no, this is not good anymore. So I don't
right,
ever want to get to that point. Or even TV shows, you'll have a season 8 that people are like, this is so far from what we enjoyed. So I just don't want to get to that point. So as long as I
right.
believe we still have good stuff ahead, then I'll keep going with it.
Cool, cool. And that's the other thing too. You talk is that you have a pretty good following. You have Vending Nation.
Yep.
A group online who watches the show. How much does something like that help a show?
I heard once, and this is probably years ago, that one word of mouth recommendation is worth like $200 in marketing dollars spent, on advertisements or billboards or commercials or anything else.
Right,
One word of mouth, hey, you should check this out, it's like depositing money in the pocket of Vindication, or putting money into the budget anytime someone says, hey, you should check out this show.
right,
It's so valuable and so critical. And so, yeah, having people that watch the show, and we don't have to beg them. You ever see the hey, like and share this,
Right,
like and
right,
share. If you have to beg people to do it, you're probably not doing something right. It's when
right,
people on their own decide, I'm going to like and share this because I like it and it's worth sharing,
right,
So that's huge in allowing us to keep going. One other thing I'll say, on our social media platforms, I want to say combined, we have about 10,000 or so followers, but
right.
those aren't bot followers. You can find shows and then they create their social media accounts and then they put $10,000 into
Yeah,
marketing that, so
right,
random people see, so, oh, okay, I'll like that, they never watch it. They don't care about it. It just looks good on paper that you've got 500,000 followers or what.
right,
$10,000 wouldn't buy that, but you know what I'm saying? You've got,
right.
hey, we've got 50,000 followers. Well, yeah, you bought half of them, Our vindication ones are authentic. These are people that went out, looked up the show after watching it, and then decided to come follow it. So
Right.
that helps, I believe, when you have that. I will see social media pages that have 500,000 followers or even 1,000,000, and they'll post something and it'll get 20 likes and 2 comments. On
Right.
Vindication, where we've got 8 to 10,000, we will post something random, just nothing, 150 likes, 100 comments, 50
Right.
shares, all of that. So that our audience, they have 1,000,000, we have 100th of that or 1,000th, so much less, and yet
Right.
our people care about it and are engaged. So the
Right.
fans, they mean so much, and just people like you wanting to do this show, want to talk about it. I'm sure you've told people over time, people that would never have heard about it otherwise, that does so much. And the fact that we have earned that people do
Right.
that without us paying them or begging them, again, great compliment, and I
Right.
think it speaks for what our team has accomplished.
And that's the other thing too that I like about Vending Nation is, you talk about the people being authentic. Um, when they talk about it, you could tell they're passionate about it
Mhm.
because they go in depth into the storyline, so that it's people who actually watch the show.
Yeah, you need to go share the stream on Vindy Nation so that they'll be able to catch up on it.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
would love to put this on there. So if somebody's unfamiliar with Vindication or some of the things that you're doing, what's the best way for them to watch the show and then learn more about you and some of the things that you're working on?
Well, fortunately, we have grown enough that you go out and search for Vindication, whether it's on
Right.
Google, Facebook, Instagram, Amazon, you're going to find us. So it's kind of neat that word, we're pretty much connected to it. So it's not hard
Right.
to find. I think you would have to try to not see it if
Right.
you remember the name of it. Redeem TV has picked up season 4. PureFlix was a partner for the first couple of seasons. They are not continuing with the show. So I tell people getting connected with Redeem TV, watching on there. Of course, it's on Amazon where you can buy it there.
Right.
Leaving reviews on IMDb, on Amazon, good or bad, just sharing your input, that always helps as well because it causes other people to see it. It shows engagements, those sort of things. So
Right.
that's where people can find it. And yeah, Vindy Nation is where people talk about it a lot. Our social media platforms, we'll put out stuff about once a week. I don't like bombing people. You go follow something and now you get every day 5 or 6 different posts about it. I know they say that's what you're supposed to do. That's annoying to me. I
Right.
prefer give me something once a week, remind me about it, keep me excited, but don't flood me. So you
Right.
follow Vindication, that's what you're going to get is sporadic things. Vindy Nation is a little more heavy, but that's for the crazy fans.
Cool. So what about the merchandise? I noticed that you got the Vindication t-shirt. How does somebody get a Vindication merchandise?
Yeah, this one's not for sale yet. It's coming soon.
Okay.
You'll see cast and crew members wearing this one. They got it exclusive right now. And the problem we've been having is we sell out as quick as we get them made. We sell out of like medium, large, all those. So all we end up with extra smalls and 3XLs or whatever. So, but yeah, on our page we've shared where you can go get some merch, what's available. We're hoping to restock soon. But proceeds from that do go directly to the show to help keep it going when people pick up. But just wearing the shirt out, as I talked about that $200 worth of marketing, just wearing the shirt to stay cool or stay warm or whatever, it actually helps market the show. So
cool. I'm about to talk to you about getting one of those. So Last thing I would ask you is there any teasers for season 4?
Okay. The first episode of season 4 is called Change.
Okay.
And so with that, we're not talking about pocket change. We're talking about life change. You got a
Right.
hint of that in the final episode of season 3 of Travis talking about what his future may or may not look like. And
Right.
so there is going to be some change coming for him. So I would not expect him to be back in the police department as a sergeant, getting cats
Okay.
out of trees or interrogating people at the beginning of the season. But we'll see where it goes from there.
Cool. Awesome. So, guys, if you haven't seen the show yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. Go check it out. Redeem TV. The first 3 seasons I know is on PureFlix. So I keep telling you guys, you do not want to miss this show. Season 4. When is season 4 going to be released? Do you know?
We haven't decided that yet.
Okay.
It really depends on some factors, but it's not going to be 2 years. It's not going to, it could be, I mean, we could have an episode come out in December if we wanted to. So
Oh, wow.
we're close on making things happen. But it's not going to be a long wait. We want to treat our fans and thank them for their support by giving them episodes or the season sooner rather than later.
Awesome. Well, again, brother, thank you so much for being on the show, man. It's been a blast, man.
Yeah, no, I'm glad we got to do this. All right, it took me a while. We were actually filming and shooting and doing some of that stuff
Right.
as well. I wasn't able to get on a month or 2 ago, but glad we were able to do this.
Yeah, I'm glad too. And you've been busy. You've been busy, knocking this out, giving us great content. And like I said, I love the first 3 seasons. Looking forward to season 4. It's a great show. It's a great show. So, you guys, if you have not seen the show, go see the show. Go watch it. And then, guys, until next episode, remember, you are uniquely designed with the purpose, and always keep moving forward. Peace.